In the hearing world, we take a lot of things for granted. We are able to speak, listen to, and create music, and move our bodies to the rhythm of any song with ease, without a second thought. For most of us, these activities are so ingrained in the daily routine of our lives that we can't even entertain the idea of living without them. As someone who has dedicated her life to music and performing, I find it difficult to imagine that reality. However, for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, that is their reality, and it is nearly impossible for them to imagine life any other way. It might seem reasonable for people who are unfamiliar with the concept of deaf culture to believe that deafness is a severe disability. But in the deaf community, deafness is an identity, and most deaf people strive to live with this identity and still thrive in a world dominated by the hearing. Theater performance, though, is one of many activities, unfortunately, that society has somehow deemed exclusive to hearing people. In this video, I hope to enlighten people with my research and inspire them to become more involved in uniting deaf and hearing people. An important concept to clear up before we move on is the difference between deaf with a lowercase d and deaf with a capital D. This is a nuance that most hearing people don't bother to understand, but according to the National Association of the Deaf, that's deaf with a capital D, it is the sole distinction between the audiological condition of not hearing, lowercase d, and a particular group of deaf people who share a culture and a language, like American Sign Language. People who regard their hearing loss solely in medical terms and do not wish to associate with other members of the deaf community do not identify as deaf with a capital D. This often happens to deaf people who do not have the proper resources to learn sign language and only wish to be able to communicate with the hearing people who dominate their world. Along these lines, David Kurz, the deaf artistic director of the Deaf West Theater, points out that about 90% of deaf people are born to hearing parents, and he brings attention to the difficulty in trying to communicate with their own parents. Fortunately, education for the deaf is constantly developing, and deaf schools can provide a safe, encouraging environment for the deaf to communicate on their own without interpreters, such as Gallaudet University, the only liberal arts college for the deaf in the world at this time. There are also many programs like those at Gallaudet that intend to encourage interaction between deaf and hearing and attempt to eliminate the stigma and stereotypes hearing people have created regarding the deaf. 38 states have approved ASL as an official language and an accredited foreign language class in high school, and more than 90,000 students enrolled in sign language classes for college in 2009. In fact, many colleges have long waiting lists of students trying to get into introductory ASL classes. Lord Fairfax Community College offers classes to teach sign language and immerse students in deaf culture. Andrea Parsons, a student at Lord Fairfax, noted that she originally wanted to take ASL as a gateway to early childhood communication, known as baby sign language, after the birth of her two nephews, but she has gained an unexpected passion for the language and deaf culture. She is fortunate to have a deaf teacher who shares stories about her childhood, growing up deaf in a time when ASL was banned, closed caption movies were not available, and deaf people were not allowed to drive. These stories inspired Parsons to keep learning and become more involved in the deaf community, which is very accepting of anyone who is willing to learn ASL and stand with them in solidarity. With the rise of deaf-friendly college curricula, arts education for the deaf is courageously making its way up. Gallaudet University's theater program offers a conservatory experience for its deaf students who would most likely be overlooked in any other program. The curriculum focuses on interdisciplinary education, emphasizing collaboration and process, empowering students to effect positive change in society as innovative artists. The Deaf West Theater Company in Los Angeles, California is committed to integrating deaf actors with hearing actors to create gorgeous, accessible productions for deaf and hearing audiences alike. Their past productions, including Big River and Pippin, incorporated sign language into the show by using two actors for each role, one deaf and one hearing, playing the same role in English and ASL simultaneously. In these productions, though, they never really acknowledged that characters were deaf. They simply imagined a world where everybody knew sign language magically. However, in the company's current musical, they have taken the concept a step further. Michael Arden, a hearing veteran at the Deaf West Theater Company, reincarnated the 2006 Broadway musical Spring Awakening, reimagining half of the characters as deaf, with no changes to the script. The production works because the show is about students who struggle for acceptance in a conservative late 19th century Germany. Arden researched the period and discovered that in 1880, the Second International Congress on Education of the Deaf deemed oral education superior to sign language and passed a resolution banning sign language in school. He interpreted the students' struggles literally and cast deaf actors to fill half of the roles, creating a very real pain in the characters that deaf people often struggle with when their peers and teachers in mainstream schools, or hearing schools, don't accept their deafness. The production also incorporates ASL into the choreography, sparing no aspect of the musical theater experience. The Deaf West Theatre Company only serves to enhance productions, inspire theatergoers and actors to appreciate ASL and deaf culture, and create accessible pieces of theater for deaf audiences that are equally as enjoyable, if not more, as their solely English versions. The deaf community's position in society still has a long way to come, but with the increasing accessibility of deaf education and ASL classes for hearing students, we will hopefully be ready to drop the stigma and educate ourselves on deaf issues and what deaf people experience, just as the Deaf West Theatre Company aims to do.
Don't do sadness, not even a little bit. Just don't need it in my life, don't want any part of it. I don't do sadness, hey, I've done my time looking back on it all, man, it blows my mind. I don't do sadness, so been there. Don't do sadness, just don't care.